Welcome everybody. I am so happy to be here. My name is Bree Mills and I am the Chief Creative Officer at Adult Time, as well as the showrunner for Transfixed, our amazing, beautiful trans-led studio. And I am here with three incredible, inspirational women, our muses. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the reunion show. So I'm gonna start by having each of you introduce yourselves. Let's start with you.
I'm Khloe K.
I'm Jade Venus.
And I'm Emma Rose.
So the reason I have gathered us all today for this sort of special reunion talk show, if you will, is really just to get an opportunity to go behind the cool concepts and the glamour and the amazing work that we did together for each of your individual Muse episodes. And to really get a chance to, not just for me to learn more about each of you as individuals, but really for our audience as well to get a chance to get to know the muses behind muses. So the first question I would love to ask each of you, and this is a conversation, so whoever wants to jump in and we'll start it from there. If you would share a little bit about your journey, like how did you go from your beginnings through to who you are today? What can we share with our audience about who each of you are and each of your own journeys?
Should we just start with you and go on a line?
Sure. Okay, so my journey began February 12th, 2016. That's when I took my first estrogen and Spiro pill. I was 21, turned 22 that year. So I kind of came to like who I was as a person right after high school. So I graduated in 2013 and I was just like, I just had like regular civilian jobs and just kind of wanted to live like a very like fit in kind of lifestyle, I guess, like didn't really want like a lot of attention drawn to me or whatever. And I kind of just felt lost at that point. So I just felt like I was waking up, doing the same thing and like not really living my authentic self. So I got into a really deep depression, but it was like more so like to myself. And my mom started to realize it when I was 21. She was like, you're not the same anymore. Like, what's going on with you? I'm losing my best friend. And like her and I have been really close. Like my parents knew that I was LGBTQ plus since a very young age. Like, yeah, they knew. Like,
I always tell.
Same with mine.
Yeah, I used to like wear the pool noodle as like a tutu, and then as a ballerina. Like my parents were like, okay, my child's different.
Yeah.
And, like my brother used to always play with like GI Joes and stuff and like neighbors' kids, and I didn't want nothing to do with them. Like my dad bought me GI Joes. And I want nothing to do with them, so he bought me Bratz.
Me too.
My father bought me dolls, and like I was all about the Bratz. So they knew. So my mom was like, "I'm losing my best friend," and I was like, "Now's the time to like kind of come clean that I've been having like gender identity issues, And I opened up to her about it, and like her response was, "What do we do to get you to where you need to be to fix this?"
Oh, amazing.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if this is still the case nowadays, but you have to go to therapy, first of all, to get like the letters saying you can do hormones.
It's a process.
So she found me a therapist, and her and I worked together. My mom and I worked together to find one, and I went and did it. And she's been my supporter since the beginning.
Oh, amazing.
Sweet.
Amazing.
Awesome. Well, I'm from Montana originally. I'll just start with that to set the vibe. I came out really young. I came out at 12 as trans. But being in Montana, it was a small town, so getting hormones and access to trans healthcare was like almost impossible.
Right.
But yeah, I was trans for a while and didn't have access to any estrogen or anything, but luckily I met this organization that I started doing volunteer work as I grew into my later teens that helped me get access to those. So that was good. My mom was always super supportive and amazing. My dad wasn't, but he's gone, buried somewhere. He's fine. But just coming out in Montana was horrible. I came out in middle school, So I had a lot of bullying.
Mm-hmm.
I also went through a lot of depression.
Yeah.
But yeah, I came back after 8th grade. The estrogen had just kicked in, and I was super hot.
Come back fishy.
Yeah, I came back super fishy. So people kind of stopped bullying me, and I was just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you were in middle school?
Middle school.
When you transitioned?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I do
That's
wish
really
I waited
nice.
a little bit, but also not.
Waited, why?
It probably just would have been a little better, like mental health.
Like on yourself?
Not being
Yeah.
constantly around young people that don't understand what's going
See,
on.
like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a lot. And then Montana on top of it, like they thought like I was being like hurt at home by my family because I was presenting myself that way. So
Yeah.
it's just not the time. But
Yeah.
the moment I left Montana, we're flourishing.
Yeah.
Doing
Awesome.
good.
Yeah, you're a beautiful
Going
Yeah, but it's
forward.
also, that is part of what made you as strong as you are now, being so brave at such a young age.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything, I guess. So
You definitely don't have a Montana vibe.
No.
but yeah, that's how I came out.
Incredible. So one of the things that strikes me in hearing both of your experiences so far is one, how sort of both of you are really trailblazers, coming out early, being your authentic selves, even as early as middle school, in a time and in a place where that is not an easy thing to do.
I always knew, like, ever since I was, as long as I can remember, I was always wearing like dresses. And like I would put my coat on top of my head and pretend it was hair. And my grandma would dress me up in little outfits. It would piss off my dad.
I would do my towel, like a beach towel.
Yeah, same.
So I
Beach
totally-
towel,
totally
or
get it,
the
yeah.
hood of my coat on my head, and it would just be my hair.
Yeah, you're just like
Yeah.
living for the image fantasy. Yeah.
Well, I don't think I wore a shirt till I was about 10 and could no longer,
No.
no
No,
longer
I
avoid the
always-
fact that I was not a little
The
boy.
whole
So.
time I presented as male, anytime we went to the swimming pool, I was wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
And I had a nice body as a boy.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I always wear a shirt.
Well, it's always about like you can put on a front,
Yeah.
but when you look at yourself in the mirror, there are going to be times where you look at yourself and you feel comfortable. There are going to be times where you don't, and so I can totally relate to
And
that.
I always
yeah.
had to pee. My whole
Yeah.
life. It's felt natural.
Yeah, well, that's good. But so that strikes me as like this is really being in both of your cases trailblazers, and then also the support of both of your moms.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Love
is great to hear. Emma, why don't you share your journey with us?
I feel like mine's so opposite. Because like when I was a kid, I barely played with makeup. I never wore dresses. I never played with women's clothes and high heels. And I had G.I. Joes.
They were hot.
Yeah, they were hot. Probably that's why I played. But like growing up, I grew up on a farm, and so Central Florida, and like literally, like, my dad was really conservative. My family is really like kind of like a little bit rednecky, a little bit hillbilly, but not like Montana. But it's like I don't know, it's like a different vibe, but it's still
it's
country.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also. I didn't transition until I was 21. My senior year, my last semester in college, one day I was presenting male. This next day I was presenting female. I messaged all my teachers the night before, and all of them were like super understanding and so nice and sweet. But looking back, I was always just very masculine. And also I feel like even now I feel like I'm very, very femme, but I feel like I have a lot of masculine like features like, acting wise.
Like mannerisms. and
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like. But looking back, my grandpa, rest in peace, he even said when I transitioned, he's like, yeah, you said when you were a kid you just felt you were wired wrong. Because looking
wow.
back, I have so many like egg moments of like, okay, when I saw myself as an adult, I always saw myself as a female or as in like a businesswoman or a wife, but never as like a man, even though I thought it was just like a gay thing. And I was like, my gay friends were like, no, we don't feel that way.
Yeah.
So transitioning later, I didn't even meet my first trans woman until I was 19. So then when I met her, everything clicked. I was like, oh my God, this is who I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And it just makes so much more sense.
Dude, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Totally, 'cause I didn't know what it meant to be
Yeah.
trans in high school. You know, there was no like
The way I found out about it is I had saw just this video on the internet when I was like 12 of this woman talking about being trans, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. And it clicked.
Yeah. Well, the idea of, you know, looking back and seeing the signs or the Easter eggs is I think it's really interesting. And when you close your eyes, who you imagine yourself. It's something I can definitely relate to as well. What were some of the, I mean, besides the brat stalls?
Love our brats.
I love her.
What were some of like when you look back and now you're kind of reflecting on, you know, on growing up and sort of starting to recognize those signs? What were some of the telltale signs for all of you?
Well, one I can just think of off the top of my head is my family would like buy me clothes all the time, and they would like give me these clothes, and they were boy clothes, and like I'd put them, I wouldn't want to fucking wear them.
Yeah.
Like I'd want the pink shoes that like my sister had. And I obsessed over my sister. I idolized her. And I just wanted to like always be around her, and I was always watching her doing her hair and makeup. And I made her put her makeup on me when I was like 5.
Cute.
Little Easter egg.
Yeah.
I used to have like really bad body dysmorphia, but my late teens I started doing steroids, and I literally, as my body got more muscular and more manly, I was like, I don't like this, and I was like, I know that there's something wrong because if that doesn't make me feel good, there must be something else going on, and I feel like that was when I was in denial of being trans. And then finally, when I went to therapy, like, therapy is the best thing in the fucking world.
Yes, it is.
When I went to therapy and realized, I'm like, okay, I'm trans, I need to do hormones, it literally made a world of a difference.
Yeah.
Once the hormones kick in and you start like turning on, it takes a few months for you finally to start to notice it, but once you do, you feel amazing.
Yeah,
so that's interesting because that's something that isn't often spoken about. And when we were discussing before the show started, you know, a lot of times, especially, you know, with our fans, there's just such a lack of information. So what are some of like the big milestones that each of you all have experienced in terms of your transition? What are some anecdotes that we can share that's going to help educate our audience on like what does transitioning, because I know it's always so unique to everybody.
Yeah. It just depends on really what state you're in.
Yeah.
Because some of them are super difficult. Like if you're in California or like Nevada or something, it's going to be super easy. You just show up, ask a doctor for hormones, and they're more than likely going to give it to you without therapy.
With the letter. Oh, really? Without the letter?
In California, it's super easy.
Yeah.
But in Montana, it took me over a year to get approved for anything because they were telling me like, oh, like you just have mental illness. Like this is a phase. Like you're crazy. Like, you're being touched at home. Like that's what they were insinuating, and they were pointing fingers at my mother. So
Meanwhile, your mother is there to support you, to try to help you get help.
Really depends on what area you're in to get the hormone. How easy it's going to be.
If you're in the Bible Belt, it's going to be very, very
Yeah. And now today, you know, today happens to be the day that we're recording Trans Visibility Day, which I think is a wonderful, you know, just kind of was not planned this way, but what a wonderful coincidence that it happened. So, you know, what does being trans mean to you today?
Might be my authentic self, you know.
Yeah, I honestly don't even like think about it. Like I don't just think about being trans. Like, it's just
me.
Just
exactly. Yeah.
You just become yourself. You're like, I don't wake up like you're saying. I'm not like, oh, I'm trans.
I do think that there's the biggest difference between the beginning of my transition, where if anyone ever was like, "You're not a woman," I would be so upset.
Same.
And now I'm just like, okay, that's your opinion. And it just feels like you're just so comfortable. It's just like you can call me anything.
Yeah.
Or like,
Period.
you don't have to prove anything to yourself. Biggest of all, it's just like anything goes now. It's just like, oh, I'm at the end of the day, I'm a woman, and no matter what's going on, I'm who I am.
Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't happen too much anymore, but when I would get like clocked in public and called names like a dude or a man, it would offend me. But now it don't happen. So I'm like, good for you.
So what has helped get to that place of confidence?
Self-love.
You know, self-love. I think having like a rock, someone that you can turn to.
Support system.
You know, I feel like you really do need that as an LGBTQ plus person, because you get lost without it. You know,
You
like
really
look
do.
at me. Emma had no idea, or I think it was one. I forget who said it, but like we didn't know what being trans was. I think it was from being in Florida. You know.
Yeah, I knew there was I knew they were like cross dressers, but I didn't know you could like do it forever and be pretty.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, there's such a lack of conversation around, gender equality and gender fluidity, and the fact that gender is as much of a spectrum as sexuality, and often people confuse gender and sexuality as being the same when in fact they're so different. I think one of the most common questions that I see is like, okay, so you've transitioned. Why is it that you are
Still fucked.
exactly? Yeah, like I know, right?
They're like, how are you trans if you're having sex with women?
Yeah, why did? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, then why
exactly.
do you do it if you're so fucking
Yeah,
women?
that's the most annoying fucking
I
question.
hate
Yes.
that shit. Yeah.
So speaking of annoying questions that we can maybe shed some light on, what are some of the most common misconceptions that you all have been asked that we can clear up one and for all for our audience today who's watching?
Well, back when I still lived in Montana, I lied to people and said I had bottom surgery. It was just a personal thing when I would meet new people if they asked. And I would constantly get the question. So many people asked me if I can still pee, if trans people can still pee.
Do you feel like you
Yes.
said
Yes. To
Even if I have a
clarify,
pussy,
everybody
like, we
can
could
pee.
pee.
Yeah.
I feel like you said like you always said that you had bottom surgery to kind of like fit in better.
It was
or,
just
like,
more of a
kinda like scapegoat?
validation thing. Even when I first moved to California in 2019, I was working at an Abercrombie for like 2 years, and I lived in San Luis Obispo, and everyone I met, I was open about being trans, but I always lied and said I had a vagina.
It was like just easier to come
I
out
just
that
felt
way?
like they'd view me differently, and honestly, I think they kind of did. Like, they treated me better than like people that did know. I feel like,
Okay.
but now they know.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Just curious.
how do you pee? That is a really, really good misconception. The fact that gender and sexuality are not the same thing is another total misconception. What are some of the other ones that come to the top of mind in terms of the easiest questions that we can debunk?
Like, can you still come? Why don't you come this amount?
Yeah.
Why doesn't your dick get hard?
Everybody's
Her
different.
dick's hard. Why isn't your dick
Right.
hard?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Because like me, I actually had castration really early into my transition, actually. So I mean, and there's even been kind of like higher ups in companies that are like, hey, and I've heard from directors like, yeah, they're asking you why don't you come? And I'm like, it's because I don't have balls.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so even there, it's like I feel like it takes a lot of like education, like through industry and in non-industry.
Yeah, definitely.
And they wouldn't ask a cis girl.
No.
Right.
Why aren't you coming?
Yeah.
No.
Yep. It is true.
Yeah.
It
You know
is
what I mean?
true. Yeah. Well, and that's been
They
one of
expect more from us.
Yeah.
well, and that's been one of like my within like kind of my journey over the last couple of years. One of my certainly I had to go through that same education too, and it became really clear to me very early on that the best thing that we can do is not try to perpetuate the myths.
Yeah.
So, on transfix sets, you come as you are. No, there's no fake pop shots or anything like that. And, but I find still that education needs to happen almost every release, because there's just like, if there's a penis involved, therefore it must equate all of this. So it's great to be able to share the fact that nothing's going to come out, or something is, and that either way, orgasm should be as much of a form of self-expression as anything else, right?
One thing I love about I didn't really start having sex with women until porn. I've always been bisexual, but I was always intimidated. And now I'm like, okay, now I know my way around women.
Yeah.
But it's nice because like even in our personal lives, as like when I'm having sex with a woman, and I feel like lesbian sex is just very sensual. It's a lot of foreplay. It's not a lot of like penetration pound.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of translating that with transfix. It's like, no, you're not just gonna have like a big come and it's gonna be done.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have multiple orgasms, or it's just a very body sensual thing. And I love that.
Yeah.
Like just like very in the moment.
Yeah.
Like enjoying it with the person.
Yeah. So why don't you share a little bit, especially for anybody who has not watched the episodes yet, tell us a little bit about your first experience with Transfixed. I mean, I know I was there, but assuming I was not there.
Oh my gosh.
For you.
My first experience was the physical.
Yes.
And I was so fucking nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I was so nervous because, like, Emma, I've never fucked a girl off camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my first, like, experience with a woman was on camera. Like,
wow.
Was it for the
So
physical?
it was fine.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
No, it wasn't.
No, yeah.
But I think that was, like, one of my very first, like, probably third
Yeah.
scene with a woman. But, like, I've never done anything. I think I kissed a girl.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
know,
we've
like,
kissed
whatever. But, like, I've never done anything. So just doing it in porn is, like, really intimidating. And then I never shot with this crew before, you know? And then so just meeting you and, like, just seeing how, like this is a production, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you go to, like, different sets, and it's just not like this. So I was just super nervous, and I feel like that translated into the scene and, like, why my character was really nervous. So it just worked really well. But I'm walking away from it, I was just like, this is what porn is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when you think about, like, you know how people are always like, oh, you're a porn star, it's so glamorous.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
this,
just a job.
to us, we're like, it's a job, right? But, like, people, like, glamorize what we do.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is what they think.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the environment they think about what we're doing.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
You're
total
one of
sense.
the only sets that actually gives us that.
Well,
Yeah.
Like I noticed, the cis side of porn has it so much better than we do.
well, I mean, part of the original inspiration for Transfixed was, I mean, for me, from the day, I've always been an outlier in the adult industry, right? So I remember the first studio that I ever built was a lesbian studio. It was sort of like, okay, that makes sense, right? Because you're a lesbian, so you can make that studio. But then I was just known as the lesbian that made the lesbian studio. and that was okay, because I was in my own little corner, and then I went and made Pure Taboo, and that messed everybody up because all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, you're doing straight porn, and like, what is this straight porn that you are making? And you know, but my journey has always been, and it's very much representative of the adult time, like, how can we take an all-inclusive approach to content? And I love, you know, sex and sexuality and gender, they're evergreen subjects. You can write about them forever. You can, like, never run out of ideas. So I knew I had so many stories to tell. And I was really struck because I had not, this would have been, I guess, 2018, Cherie DeVille, who's a performer I've worked with for many years. She's under contract now, which is sad, but good for her. But like when she's out of contract, I'll be very happy to be reunited with her. But she came to me and she was like, I've always had such strong off-screen chemistry with Venus Lux. I have always wanted to work with her. I don't give a shit what my agent says. I want to do a scene with her, but there's just nowhere to do it. And I was like, we hadn't even launched Adult Time yet. I think we were like a couple months away from launching it. I was like, I will make a show for that scene. And I knew at the time there's so many closed doors. You know, so much discrimination, so much stigma, so many of the kind of good old boys of the cis side of the industry that were like, you know, all the rhetoric. And so, well,
some of them.
but increasingly difficult to be so ignorant. But Cherie was, you know, I really have to credit her because she, you know, at the time was with an agency and everything. She's like, I do not care what they say. I want to work with Venus. And I was like, almost like what we've done with this series. I was like, what do you want it to look like? And she's like, you know, I would love to do sort of a 60s themed, and then we created Venus at the Party, which was this you know, kind of big cocktail party type of scene where these two characters find each other. But from there on, it was really, I became really driven about, well, no, how many doors can we open? Because as soon as folks on both, you know, within the trans performer community, within the cis performer community, saw how those episodes looked, they were like, I want to come on that show. And so, you know, we ended up being able to, you know, get a lot of different types of performers together. And now we probably have like, I'm not kidding, like a 6 to 8 month waiting list of people that want to work on the studio. And I don't have enough production days to give them. But like now, you know, to see that evolution in 3 years is incredible. And for me, that's really inspiring. And seeing the first time we got to work together, I mean, we did. It was. I'm sorry that you were so nervous because we made Khloe's character be this very nervous first-time medical patient, and then Dee Williams gave her like an hour and a half long medical exam, and it was incredible. But it was so authentic. So, and it was the first time we really did a very heavy story-driven episode. So I can actually credit you and that episode for being such a hit that it inspired us to do more complicated stories afterwards, which is like a little bit, I think, with the first one we worked on together, which was the neighborly greetings one, I think.
Yeah, that one was fun. I was a little nervous because it was my first time shooting with you. And at that time, I hadn't shot with a lot of cis performers. And Aiden Ashley and Kenna James, they're so big and they're stunning.
Yeah.
I was a little overwhelmed. I feel like I was a little nervous in that scene, but
you would never have known it.
no. Now when I do cis scenes, I feel like good about it.
Yeah.
It's super hot. But yeah, luckily Ariel Demure was on.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
She's one of my besties.
Yeah,
so.
the two of you could do a whole spin-off, comedy series, just the two of you.
You should hear me, her, and Tori. We're bad.
Yeah, Tori's,
There was 2 trans girls and 2 cis girls?
It was, me, Ariel, and then Kenna James and Aiden. Super hot.
Yeah.
It
That was
really,
your first scene?
No, it
with
wasn't
Adult Time?
With Adult Time.
Yeah.
No, it was with Bree.
For Transfixed, Jim.
Rhiannon,
Yeah.
a couple times in Jim.
Yeah.
I still haven't shot for Aiden Starr. I want to work with her.
Yeah, she's with, I think she's with Evil Angel. Yeah.
My first scene was with Jules Blue for the yoga teacher with you.
Yes, which is just about to come out.
Yes, I am so excited for that one. Plus, the chemistry for on set was just automatic as well because in my personal life, I really love women. I have sex with women all the time in my personal life off camera. And so I know there was a switch up last minute, and I'm so happy that it did because when we met each other and we started filming, and I know we were just having a conversation earlier that I would rather eat pussy than suck dick all the time.
Same, I get it.
And that's also why I love having you and this with being transfixed, having a lesbian director who actually know what people like, who know women who like women, and shooting with girls who actually like girls. Is a big difference in chemistry than someone shooting who doesn't really like women.
Definitely.
And I feel like the energy is just really, really, really good there.
Yeah. Well, that's always been for Transfixed it's always been at its core a lesbian series. And you need to have that chemistry. That is the fundamental ingredient to a good lesbian scene is that chemistry. How did you all feel about this project when I first brought it to you?
Mind blown.
Yeah. When you emailed me, I didn't understand exactly what it was. I read it a couple times, but I'm like, oh my god, wait, this is our moment. It's giving Playboy. We each get a month, and we get to be a little centerfold.
Yep.
I just feel like people don't give trans women in this industry the recognition and the freedom and the platform that you do for us.
It's really awesome.
So I really do feel like you are the first director, producer to ever give a trans woman a title of Model of the Month.
Yeah.
And so to be asked to do that is literally so honoring.
Yeah.
And when I got the message, I sat on it and I was like, why? This is so crazy.
And I'm like, why'd you pick me?
No, exactly. It's just out of all the women.
Yeah.
And it's just so honoring and it's amazing. Honestly, it's been a great
and
3
you
weeks.
guys hit it out of the park with the sets. I saw the pictures of hers. Mine was amazing. I'm sure yours was stunning.
Yep.
The attention to detail and everything you guys put into it is amazing.
Yeah.
Other studios don't do that, even the big ones.
Yeah. Well, this is part of an amazing team and a collaboration, but it all started with each of your ideas. So I know that we had talked about this a little bit in our individual episodes, but share with our audience when I asked you all, what is your dream concept? With the exception of Jade, who I asked and I shared an example of Khloe's dream concept. And Jade's like, I could wear pink, but I don't know if that's me. Yeah, but what's the inspiration behind what you brought to your Muse episode?
So I am always in black. I just present myself very I wear a lot of gym clothes. I never present myself really girly, even though I am really girly. And so I wanted my vision to be how I feel on the inside. And so I just wanted everything pink and really fun. And the only like notes that I had was like I wanted bows.
Yep.
I wanted rose gold glitter. And for some reason, like balloons just stuck out to me because I feel like it was like a celebration of you asking me to do this. So I threw those ideas to you, and we brainstormed, and it turned into this like really beautiful Victorian.
Yep. All pink tea party world with living dolls.
Which takes me back to playing with brass as a child. You know what I mean? So just like all these like little aspects to my transition that's like really came together in my scene.
Yeah. Oh,
And
so beautiful.
I just feel like it was
I
so
can't
great.
wait to see it.
Yeah. I know. I cannot wait to see the final products either. And then Jade, what was the inspiration behind your Muse episode?
Well, I did mention it in the interview we gave us prior, but I just said that growing up, my dad and mom, they're heavy bikers. They had Harleys, they did Sturgis every year, and I would go to them to these things. It was super fun. I personally don't ride motorcycles, but the outfits and like that.
But you did look pretty good on one.
You look so hot.
Thank you. That
so
like
hot.
aesthetic is just like always, it hits home for me.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to have like a sexy motorcycle picture, a bunch of them.
Now you're gonna have.
Did you have your Beyonce hair?
Oh no, there's one of me like just all over the motorcycle.
Yes.
Like motorcycle spread,
I'm
calendar,
completely like
realness.
sprawled out on it.
Like fully head to toe sprawled out on
Yes.
it.
Shit, or,
No, they're tucked
okay,
away.
they're cute.
It's classy. And then I really wanted Brooklyn Gray because ever since I started in the industry, I had found their Twitter like almost immediately. It had just popped up, and I was just always really attracted to them. And this was the perfect setting to do it because they matched the biker like mechanic.
Yes,
vibes so
the
much.
sexy kind of mask mechanic.
This is definitely probably my favorite scene I've shot. So yeah,
Awesome.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Thank
you two look really good together.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And Emma, what was the inspiration? I mean, I know, but share for our audience, what was the inspiration behind your Muse episode?
I mentioned it in my interview, but so I just really love other time periods in general. Like if I can shoot porn in like every old like 1800s, 1700s, how fucking 1200s, I would. But this one was kind of like Mary Antoinette vibes from Bridgerton of Netflix. And like everything's just royal, draped, royalty, lace, satin. And one of my biggest things with one of my scene partners with April Olsen, I really liked that she was more androgynous because I feel like with men, I feel like I'm very dominant. And then I feel like with women, I'm actually very submissive because they bring out my femininity a lot. So I really like that she played more of like a masculine vibe, and we still were able to do a verse scene, which worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So it was just very extravagant.
It was. And Khloe, we had for yours, you actually chose to bring back a scene partner who you had worked with for Transfix because it was so good the first time around. So tell us a little bit like why Jane was your scene partner.
I guess I didn't say I picked Jane.
Yeah.
I chose Jane Wilde as my scene partner. Just, like I said, I don't have sex with women in my, everyday life. And working with Jane the first time, I just feel like her and I had just like some sort of like on-screen chemistry. And I never felt that with a woman before, besides Jade, because she's just a great top.
Yeah, actually, and your episode, what episode you just shot together, I think actually came out today. Yeah.
But, cis woman. I've never felt that with a cis woman. And so I just like I had to bring her back for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like she just embodied what I visioned as well. Like super just very high lesbian glamour.
Yes.
That's the best I can describe it. You know what I mean?
It definitely was, yeah. And she's somebody as well who, much like April and Brooklyn, who we've worked a lot with as well. So I was so happy to be able to bring you all together to do those shoots. All right, so I just have two more questions for you before I bring out a little surprise guest for the reunion today. So the first question that I have is, what do you think, we talked a lot today about the importance of being a trailblazer. I think all of us in our own respects have done a certain aspect of trailblazing in our lives and certainly in our careers as well. What advice would you have for our industry, but even society at large, to help continue to further along inclusivity and representation of trans people within our community? What can we do more of in the coming years that we should all be doing?
Well, I could say to the cis side, maybe educate yourself a little more, especially with the whole HIV stigma. Like, you guys can get it just as easy as we can. So,
And everybody gets tested the same.
everyone
Yeah.
gets tested the same.
Isn't it higher on the
Yeah.
on the straight cis side as well? Which is funny.
So maybe just educate yourself a little more on that, so we can get rid of the whole crossover thing.
Yes.
That doesn't need to be a
Yes,
thing.
as
It should just be porn.
yes, as Joanna said, I think very eloquently,
she
there
said
is no
perfectly.
there is no place to cross from or to.
No,
Yeah.
there's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amount of DMs from one cis man
Yeah.
on the straight side, full of DMs, but they just refuse to film,
there's so
and
many.
it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I know. And it's just I feel like a lot of times it's really important for managers to know, especially for cis women and cis men, because a lot of the times it is their managers pulling the strings. And
Yes.
it's not just the performers themselves. And I think that you were saying like kind of like the good old boys, all that stuff like that. A lot of directors and managers need to get with the program and get with the times.
They
Yes,
really do. It's
absolutely.
2022. Like,
It is.
Come on.
Exactly.
I would say just keep being headstrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel
Exactly.
like as a trans woman, we are very like centered with who we are, and we have, you know, really strong head on our shoulders. So just keep presenting that to the world and stop taking no for an answer.
Exactly.
Like fucking take, you know, like get it
That's
done.
right.
Just get it
Sometimes
done.
you just need to just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what like ask forgiveness later. Just focus on
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah, yeah.
If you want to shoot trans porn and you're in cis porn, just do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I said, the even the change that I've seen it in my time working has shown that, especially as performers get more and more agency over who they want to work with, when they want to work with, whomever they want to work with, and it becomes less and less of dependent on the voices behind the scenes. You know, the more that I'm hoping we'll be able to just eradicate, you know, these niche terms and just be like, okay, this is a scene with this, you know, with this combination of people together, and then this is a scene with this combination of people together. What kind of project, if you could do, I mean, apart from your Muse dream scene, what kind of content would you all love to do in the coming year? Like, if you were going to give ideas, what would be a kind of a scene
I know what I would
or a
do.
concept or?
Everybody's probably like really geek. I would want to do like some Lord of the Rings type vibe.
Like intense
very-
cosplay.
Just intense
yeah.
cosplay, very LARPing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that's
Nice.
just like my vibe, like how I live my life every day.
I definitely want to try like maybe like a showgirl, like burlesque, like cinched corset, like maybe a little like 60s looking with the makeup and everything.
Nice.
Little showgirl.
Yeah, that would be
I've
hot.
been wanting to
see
try
that.
that. The feathers, burlesque.
That'd be gorgeous.
Yeah, I can
Nice.
totally see you doing
Season two, okay.
Yeah.
Are you saying for
Not necessarily,
or
in
just
general,
Just
in
in
general.
general.
So one of my biggest dreams I really want to do is I want to make a whole entire movie, but I still want to make it porn. But even if you take the porn out, the movie would still make sense, and it would just be beginning, middle, end. But the sex scenes would be just as kind of like how y'all shoot with here. It would still be as dramatic, as high quality, but it's still gonna have a whole entire movie plot line, climax, and
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
I think that would be, because I really want to start acting, especially mainstream acting, and I just think it would be like amazing to do all of it all together.
That is amazing. Awesome. Well, besides giving me some really good ideas for future projects together, are you ready to meet your co-star, your special guest of honor?
Yes.
Okay, everybody. So we are going to cut for a second, and when we come back, we are going to introduce one additional guest, a very special guest, who's going to come in, and then we're going to see what are inside these boxes. All right, so stay tuned, everybody. All right, welcome back. Without any further ado, I want to finally reveal to you all who your special guest star is going to be for this reunion today. Not only is she, from the times that we have worked together, an incredible performer, but really a remarkable human being, an incredible advocate within our industry, someone with whom I have tremendous respect and admiration for. And she's also Adult Times ambassador, so that's not too bad either. But when I was thinking about who could complement the muses, the number one person at the top of my list was Siri Dahl. Oh. So without further ado, Siri, welcome.
Hi. You look stunning.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I've asked these ladies a lot of questions so far today, so I'm going to turn the mic to you for a moment. Why don't you tell us about your first scene with Transfixed? Because we also got to work together, and I think that was it our first? No, it was our second time working together.
Yes. Yeah. It was, so my scene with Daisy Taylor was amazing, and it was just an incredibly fun day. And I'd wanted to work with Daisy for quite a long time. Like, we'd met before, and we were joking, we were like Gemini twins, because we just had so many things in common. I know. So we finally got to do our scene together, and one of my favorite things about it was that we did it the way that we wanted to do it, you know? So we didn't shoot it the way that maybe, like, sometimes it's like fans might have certain expectations of how a scene should go just because you have a trans woman in the scene. And Daisy was like, you know, I want to be more of like a bottom in this scene. And I was like, that's perfect, because I really want to like get on top of you. And it was amazing, and it's still like one of my favorite scenes that I've ever been in.
Yeah.
So
And
thank you for that.
Well, and one of the most talked about scenes as well, because of the fact that, you know, it took a little bit of a different perspective on, again, what a scene can include, what kind of sex can be enjoyed. And when you go and look at the comments of that scene, it's really beautiful to see how many trans women watched that scene, commented and said, like, thank you for showing authentic representation of how I like to have sex.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really wonderful from that aspect as well, but also, of course, because you were in it. So today is all about y'all. So after we wrap this interview, we are going to move forward with what I hope is going to be a really genuine, unscripted experience. I just wanted to get the four of you together. I'm not going to lie. Like, that was just like, I have no agenda apart from just the four of you being involved and you all having a great time. So what are you kind of anticipating from your experience today? What are you hoping, if we could put it out in the world from today's scene?
I mean, like, I'm not really hoping for, like, anything, like...
I didn't come into this
Like-
with expectations.
Yeah, no expectations, but I've just never worked with Emma before.
No,
And so it's the
same.
first time her and
I
I, like,
know.
actually get to
Yes.
make some magic together.
Yes.
And I never worked with Siri either, so it's like...
No, I haven't worked with any of y'all yet, so
No.
I'm fucking incredibly excited.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to working with Emma. I'm just surprised it hasn't happened yet.
It's
I
been
am
a long
too.
time.
Yeah.
A
How
long
have we
time
not
coming.
shot together?
Yeah.
I've been shooting for 2 years now, and it just has never just.
Yeah.
never
I've
worked
shot
out.
with some trans girls like 4 times, but not an Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's sort of there's a few firsts happening today as well, right? The first times that some of you have
And
worked
Siri's
together.
stunning.
Yeah, just so beautiful. I keep looking to my left, like, she's so pretty. Like,
No, this is my very first group scene for studio. 'Cause I've never shot a group scene for studio ever.
you're lying.
No, this is my first time.
Yeah.
So I was
Wow.
super
Yeah.
excited.
Like, she never had a threesome?
Well, I mean, I've had them all time for my OnlyFans,
Well, yeah, but
for my
like
personal
for
life,
a
but for studio,
scene.
never. I've always refused, and I was like, Bree, I'm actually ready to do my first.
Thank
group
you.
scene.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a first for me too.
Yeah.
'Cause I actually have not ever performed in anything that could be called an orgy. I was in a thing that had multiple people that was like, it was like a swinger thing. So it was like a couple swapping thing, but it wasn't an orgy because not everyone's interacting.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's just like people in a room, and I'm like, this is the first time that I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of bodies here that I'm going to get to do things. I'm very excited.
Well, yeah, well, that was really wonderful to hear when I obviously do that with Emma, and then you shared that with me too. I'm like, oh, and then I think, yeah, you had shared that you all haven't worked together, so I think it'll be really fun to see kind of just y'all explore and have a good time.
And that's what it's about.
And that is what it's about,
a great
absolutely.
time.
A great time. Are you guys curious as to what's in the boxes?
Yes.
Yeah, they've been staring at us this
Yeah.
whole
I'm
time.
I see little initials.
There's little
I
initials.
see mine.
Yeah.
Fucking big
Of
one.
course.
All right, so before we open the boxes, why don't you all share with our audience just where they can find you, and including, please plug any content platforms as well.
Well, you can find me at Jade X Venus on Twitter, Instagram, and OnlyFans.
Excellent. So you get a box.
Oh, I get a
And
box.
size does not matter, everybody. Size does not matter.
I'm lying.
You can find me on Twitter at Khloe K XXX, on Instagram at Khloe K Official. My Snapchat is Khloe K XXX, which is a public Snapchat. You don't gotta pay for it. My OnlyFans is Khloe K XXX as well. So the only thing
Excellent.
that's different is my Instagram.
Which
Because I
may-
don't want to be taken down on Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No nudity on Instagram.
And you get your box by day.
You can find pretty much all of my links at emmarose.fans or ohitsamarose.com, OHITS emmarose.com. All of my socials are the same, but emmarose.fans would be the easiest.
Excellent. For you, my dear. And last but certainly not least, I'm just going to give it to you since I'm already standing.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at TheSiriDahl, SIRIDAHL. And you can also find my OnlyFans at SiriFanclub.com, and all my other links are always available at SiriDahl.com as well.
Awesome. All right, so
We gotta open up.
open them up.
I want to take a picture of this. It's so pretty.
I know.
And let's make sure we
branded,
grab
it's
some
so cute.
photos of the unboxing.
We're opening them.
Are we supposed to know? Oh my god, it's a gorgeous box.
Now the truth is that you all may have known maybe what was in this box.
We may have done a pic.
May have done a pick. Oh, this is so
I'm
pretty.
always the last one to open these on Christmas.
Wait, did any of us pick the same one?
Nope.
This is stunning.
Definitely not.
There's a saying.
Oh my god, I just bought that one. Let me see.
I'm so excited. Now that my hair is brown, I can wear. I was avoiding like too many
Yeah.
colors
Yeah.
with the pink.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking my name's
So good.
Jade, and
So
this
good.
color
You need a
is called
Jade.
Jade.
Yes.
So
That is
like,
fucking beautiful.
it's giving.
Oh, it's so cute.
Best.
All right, so I'm pretty sure that our audience by this point is now going to be really eager to see what you all look like in those outfits. So let's go ahead. We're going to wrap up our reunion special. We're going to let these ladies get all dolled up, and then we're going to come back and we're going to shoot an amazing scene. But from the bottom of my heart, just to close this out, I want to thank you all. Trans, cis, anywhere in between, we are all a community, and it takes all of us to hold each other up and to elevate. And I am I could start bawling. I'm so incredibly impressed by all of you, and you are the reason why I do what I do. So thank
Love
you.
you, Bree.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
being our
much.
muses. Thank you, Siri, for being our very first special guest star. And let's see some really hot lingerie.
Thank you for
All right.
being here.
Thank you, guys.
so much.
Thank you.